Right then. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Zoom call. It's the first one we've ever done on RGM, and we've got a guest today, Andrew Cushin. How are you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm fine, Paul. How are you?
Yeah, absolutely sound, mate. Cheers, cheers. So, up in Newcastle today, how's things up there at the minute?
It's a little bit dire at the minute, actually, with the whole tier system and stuff. There's loads of rumours that we're going into tier 3 and all that kind of stuff. So it's not the best, if I'm being honest, pal. It's not the best.
I hear you. I'm based in Manchester at the minute, in tier 3 as we speak. Just looking to be creative and try and push and do what we can. That's all we can do, ain't it, mate?
Yeah, that's it, pal. That's it. I think everybody's in the same boat, aren't they? They've just got to try and stay positive, and hopefully next year is going to be a lot better than this one.
We hope so. We hope so. So thanks for joining us today for this interview, mate. It's really appreciated. I've literally just, it happens every now and again when you've got a magazine. You keep seeing a certain name pop up all the time when people are getting more engaged in an artist. And I've seen your name all over the place at the minute, mate. So well done for working hard and getting your stuff in front of the right people.
Oh, thank you very much, mate. It's been quite a busy 2 weeks, actually. Obviously, the last song it'll be 2 weeks old tomorrow. So it's been quite a hectic 2 weeks, but it's been good fun.
Yeah. So how have you done that? How have you got yourself out into the world in these troubled times?
Well, I mean, obviously having Noel featuring on the song and producing the songs helped massively. But I mean, the label have pushed it a lot further than I could have done. We've got a great PR team. We've got a really, really good behind the scenes sort of team. Our manager's doing everything he can. So I think everybody's just working to the best of their ability to try and push this song. But I mean, there's still a lot of avenues that we haven't sort of divulged in just yet. We haven't had as much radio play as we would have wanted, but then we've had a great deal of interviews and stuff like this. So it's sort of twos and fro's in it. I mean, you take what you can get anyway in this industry. Yeah. So it's going well.
Good lad. So introduce us to yourself. How did you get? What made you go into music? What spurred you on to become an artist?
Well, I mean, I was never into being an artist at all. I was skint, to be truthfully honest.
Yes.
And I picked the guitar when I was 16, just out of boredom. I was brought up on a little council estate. I was used to, knocking around the doors and playing out. And when we moved to where I'm living now, it was a little bit quieter. And I suppose boredom drove us to the guitar when I was about 16. Yeah. Just taught myself. And then when I was 18, anybody that knows me personally will know that I'm not much of a grafter. I'm quite lazy. And I was just skint, mate. I was just skint. And my mum had a friend at work who was in a band. My mum's a bank manager and our friend's a bank manager. So I called them the band a bank manager. That's who I've sort of reiterated the story as. But they had a gig on. They were looking for a support act. And I think I played 5 songs. I think one of them was my own. And I just sort of fell in love with it from there. It was like playing for 20 minutes and getting 50 quid. It was quite appealing to me. So a couple of weeks later, I got another gig supporting an Oasis tribute band called Oasis from Newcastle, and that's where that night was where everything changed. A lad came down to watch us, who's now my manager, Lee. He sent a video of Waiting for the Rain, which I played live. He sent that video to Noel. Within 2 days, Noel got back in touch, and I'd say that was the night that changed everything for me.
So it was that quick. Was that like your second gig then?
It was my second gig, mate. Yeah, it was quite. I mean, I've supported bands and stuff that have been going for like years and years, and have got virtually nowhere with it. Do you know what I mean? I was so fortunate that I was able to start sort of right from the off. Do you know what I mean? It was good in some ways, and obviously in other ways it was quite bad. Signing the deal after virtually doing no gigs. Yeah. They put us straight on a tour of the UK in
was that the Bang Bang Romeo one?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And I mean it was, by the time I'd done that first gig, I was on gig number 6 in my life. Wow. I was going on stage, my guitar wasn't even in tune. I didn't have a tuning pedal. I was like snapping strings on stage. I didn't really know how to string a guitar. I wasn't a brilliant player. I was so overcome by just everything that was sort of going on at the time that I didn't really have enough time to learn my craft. Do you know what I mean? I went from playing a couple of social club gigs to going on this UK tour.
Yeah.
And from the start of that tour to the end, I mean, the maturity and stuff that I gained was just absolutely ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? And then the artist that I am today that is just miles above.
How long ago was it, that tour?
So that tour would it ended this time last year, actually. I think I'm sure it ended in October. So would it ended? So do we ever talking like 12 months today? Wow. That I would have been back home now, having just finished the tour. But so, like I said, do you know what I mean? It was really just a learning point in the start of my career. I think we got the deal very early, and obviously Noel got in touch from the very off. It was a case of, I think when people, I said this in the other day, I think when people always tell you you're brilliant, do you know what I mean? Like, you've just signed a deal, Noel's been in touch. Every person that I was speaking to was telling us I was brilliant, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's unbelievable at the time, but slowly but surely your head starts to grow, do you know what I mean? And you start to think like you're that amazing. So by the time that I went on that Bang Bang Romeo tour, I thought I was a polished artist, you know what I mean? I thought that I couldn't do anything wrong. I thought I'm perfectly fine getting on stage, you know, half pissed or whatever, but I just wasn't. I just wasn't.
Did somebody have a word with you then about that?
No. I think everybody left to my own devices, and it literally just came down to me, you know, just to see myself after a couple of gigs, and I'd come off a couple of gigs, and I'd know that I could have done better.
Yeah.
And by the time I came off that tour, I did 1 or 2 more gigs in Newcastle, and then we'd done the Clooney gig in the Riverside, which was in March, and even then I wasn't nowhere near what I am like today. I think just giving yourself little pointers and stuff, do you know what I mean? So as you go on. But like looking back on myself 12 months ago now, I was shit. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what the rules are on swearing in this interview, but I was absolutely shit, mate. And but at the time, I thought I was the best thing ever. So I think some things happened too soon. I think if I had went on that tour and then came back and then got the deal and then released the music, I think I would have been probably a better artist by the time of coming to gigs.
One of the questions
for a reason.
One of the questions I was going to ask you is, how have you evolved as a young lad in the music industry? Because it can be difficult. So, what is it? Something you could like point to, a moment in your life when you think, you know, this has changed me really, and for the better?
I mean, obviously I don't have to work and stuff, so financially I'm in a lot of a sort of better position. But it's a tough one, the music industry. It's quite obviously I'm so naive to the whole business still, but I'm quite a tough-skinned kid, to be honest. So anything that goes on doesn't really bother me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So things like hate and stuff that you get from songs, or, you know, negative comments and all that kind of stuff definitely just goes straight over my head. But in terms of changing as a person, for that whole, about 12 months ago now, I was a totally different person than what I am now, because I was going into bars and clubs and stuff. And I'm like a little old man, by the way. So I play darts and stuff in the local social club. So I love all that kind of stuff, man. Like sitting playing dominoes on a Sunday morning. And I'd be going into these clubs and stuff where I still play now. And I'd be going in and I'd be playing darts, and people would be coming over to us for photos and stuff. So going back to what I said before, like, your head does start to grow, even if you don't necessarily see it at the time. So I'd probably say I was changed as a person. I was getting myself I was getting very arrogant. I was getting quite ignorant towards different things. But it goes down to maturing. Do you know what I mean? I was an 18, 19-year-old lad. I feel like I've matured an awful lot now, and obviously I'll mature an awful lot again in the next 12, 18 months. So I think everything's going in the right direction now. I'm comfortable where I am at the minute. Mm. But that's not to say that in 12 months' time I might look back at myself now and go, well, I was still that arrogant sort of 20-year-old kid. Do you know what I mean?
I think that'll just happen every year. You look back. I'm 42 and I look back to when I was 40 and I just think, ooh, I could have done things different. You know what I mean? It's just one of them things, isn't it?
Well, that's it, man. That's it. It's just life, man. It's just life.
What did you learn from Bang Bang Romeo then?
Well, it was so. I mean, I've worked obviously with the likes of Noel and stuff now, and other bands as well. But Bang Bang Romeo were my first taste at a live band. Do you know what I mean? So I wasn't a big fan of going to gigs and stuff when I was younger.
Yeah, I
was always quite skint, so I could never justify spending money to go and watch someone for an hour. So they were my first taste of watching live music, and I thought it was so polished.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I was getting on stage sometimes without even a set list. Do you know what I mean? I was just thinking of the songs that I was going to play off the top of my head, maybe 5-10 minutes before I went on stage. But watching them, it was like, the banter on stage was like sort of choreographed. There was, all the songs were like down to a T. You could tell that they'd rehearsed well and they knew the ins and outs, all their speakers and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I was so naive to equipment and to perform. And so I suppose when I came away from that tour, I learned different things about, like the use of a guitar pedal, for example. Do you know what I mean? I was used to being an acoustic artist without any.
Did Ross show you that stuff then?
Oh yeah, but to be fair, he's been he's been a really, really good lad. I mean, actually, he got us he's helped us massively. I mean, in terms of Bang Bang Romeo, when I was watching them, that definitely aided in my performance and how I perform now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm like stars in any way. I don't sing like her or anything like that. But
nobody.
But in terms of like stage, but in terms of like stage presence and stuff, I'd like to say that I've learned a lot from them. But Ross in particular has probably helped me out more than any of the rest of them. So he got us a deal with Ernie Ball. So I've got all my guitar strings and stuff now, and he's aided us with different pedals. And I remember one of the gigs, I think it might have been in Birmingham, and what would normally happen 9 times out of 10 was I'd be too pissed by the time I came off stage, so I'd watch the next support act and I'd probably have to go back to the hotel. But for this particular gig, I was relatively sober, and I went over so when they were playing, and I remember there was this big massive pole beside the stage, and I just leant on this pole for the whole gig, and I just stared at Ross's pedal board. Do you know what I mean? And I just sort of admired everything that he was doing on the guitar, and sort of what pedals he was doing with which tune. I remember when he came off, I asked him, "So what does this do? What does that do?" And he was so happy to oblige. Yeah. And there was the lead guitarist of our Late Night Honeymoon as well, called Tom Somerfield. He's a brilliant guitarist, and he gave us a couple of pointers with the acoustic guitar and different blues and stuff. And so I think everybody on that tour really, really helped us. I was and I think they've seen that as well. Do you know what I mean? I think they've seen that I was just a young kid, just wanting to perform and didn't really know the ropes, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they all helped us, 100%. Yeah, they all helped us.
Well, we're definitely going to come to Noel in a bit later on in the interview, but I wanted to focus mainly on you for a little bit first, because I think that has it been a little bit Noel heavy, all the interviews at the minute? You know what I mean?
To an extent, mate. To an extent, it's been. I mean, obviously, it's all positive, and I think that's I mean, that's definitely the big pull on the song. Do you know what I mean? There's so many people that are listening to my music for the first time because they've heard about the Noel song. So all that kind of stuff, just it's just by the by. But we've had a lot of questions about Noel, but as I say, they've all been positive. Do you know what I mean? I've given honest reflection of everything that happened in the studio. He's a top bloke, and at the end of the day, I wouldn't be sitting here doing interviews with yourself and being able to do music full time if it wasn't for him. So he has effectively changed my life, although I'd never admit that to him, but he has.
What would you say if you did? What do you think?
What would he say? I don't know, mate. Mate, I was, when we were in the studio, there was one day, I think it was on the Thursday, we got like a couple of hours together, just me and him, and I was fortunate enough that I got the opportunity to sort of sit down with him and say, "Listen, Noel, thank you very much." I think I quoted one of his interviews as well about how he said that the greatest songwriter in the world's not in a shed somewhere that nobody knows about. I think he found that quite amusing. But and I was just able to sort of thank him and say, "Listen, mate, you've given me an opportunity to change my life." And he just said in that really sort of sluggish way that Noel does, just cheers. It was brilliant. But like sort of shook his hand, and he's a really top bloke, man. He's a really top bloke, and as I say, he's changed my life. And I mean, I'll be looking up to Noel Gallagher for the rest of my life now, regardless of music. Do you know what I mean? Just for what he's done for us.
Sure. So, the creative industry is crying out for support at the minute. do you think us as creative people should be doing more now? You know, this virus has been around fucking 6 months now, and people thought and have been thinking that it's not going to last for more than 6 months, but it's going to last for a long, long time now. Do you think us as creative people should maybe stop shouting as loud and just crack on and do new creative stuff now? Do you think we as a creative people should be doing more now?
I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem isn't the stuff that's being made by the creative people. I think that's still brilliant. I think, but actually, if anything, musicians are bringing out better songs. And I think that's definitely an outcry for more music from the public. So I don't necessarily see what musicians and artists are doing. It's what the government's doing. There's far too many venues and stuff closing down now.
Yeah.
And I think that's the real criminal thing, because there's so many artists, there's so many new bands. It's amazing how many new bands I've seen come around since the whole pandemic. Because I mean, you'd think really off the top of your head, it would be more sort of singer-songwriters, just people who are able to perform without having to socially distance with the rest of the band. Do you know what I mean? But I've seen a lot of new bands, and all their stuff's brilliant. But the trouble is, there's nowhere for them to perform when we do come out of the pandemic. It's like there's so many venues and stuff closing down. And when I played at the Clooney in March, I mean, that's such an iconic venue in Newcastle. I mean, Sam Fender sold it out in 2017. The Arctic Monkeys sold it out. There's been countless amount of other bands there. So it's quite a historic venue in Newcastle. And there was rumours of that closing down. I don't know what exactly is happening with that. But, like, you take away that from Newcastle and there's nowhere. Do you know what I mean? You see, I mean, sort of Newcastle in the northeast, such a big place.
Yeah.
But in terms of the music venues and stuff that are here, there's absolutely fuck all. As I could probably name 5 or 6 off the top of my head. In 3 of them sort of double up as nightclubs. Do you know what I mean? Or like restaurants. So it's like there's no out and out music venues. Do you know, like you sort of go to Manchester, you go to Liverpool, or you can even go to Stockton. Do you know what I mean? There's countless amount of venues in Stockton. There's more venues in Stockton actually than there is in Newcastle. It's crazy that the music scene up here. But I think more money needs to be put into the music business just to help keep these venues open for the new bands and artists. But I think the art and stuff that people's bringing out, I think that's brilliant. I think if anything, it's been better than what it was prior to the pandemic.
Do you think
because everybody wants to stand out now? Do
you think there's going to be a top 10 of songs all about fucking COVID soon? I hope not.
Actually, mate, I was it was boiling my piss by the finish. I'm just messing on my hair as well. You just have to bear with. It totally boiled my piss because I went through a phase on Instagram and Facebook and all the socials, and you were scrolling through, and every 2 or 3 posts would be a new song. And I'm quite, don't know what the right word is, but I'm one of them people that if I scroll past something and someone's like, well, it's an original song, I listen to it because I think, well, if somebody didn't do that for me, then I'd be fucking nowhere. Do you know what I mean? So I always give people the benefit of the doubt when people send us messages and stuff. But I was shocked at the amount of people that would send us a message and say, I've just wrote this song, would you give it a listen? And it was just about fucking COVID. It was about being stuck in the house, you know what I mean? I think if you want to make something of yourself, especially in music, or anything really, I think you've got to stand out from the crowd, haven't you? You've got to have something a little bit different. And the trouble was, everything that I was listening to was about the same thing. So I was instantly just scrolling past it. So hopefully not. Hopefully we'll see a top 10 of fucking, I don't know, some good tunes rather than bloody being stuck in the house.
Definitely. So you were on Soccer AM recently, and I know you've had a lot of support through This Feeling. So talk us through the day of, because I love Soccer AM as a program and it just looks so much fun. Just talk us through the day of when you wake up and what the day is like leading up to, you know, a TV performance.
Well, I can't exactly describe it as well as I'd like to because so sport defenders and stuff on the phone, and obviously Mikey at This Feeling helped out massively. If you can hear any barking, by the way, that's a dog. Cool. But so we've got loads of support from Mikey and stuff and from fans at Soccer AM. But due to COVID, fucking nobody's allowed in the studio other than like the special guests. Do you know what I mean? So I was in Liverpool at the time. I was doing a shoot for Scott's. That's what I do now. That's where you'll find me on most Wednesdays, doubling up as a model. And I was there and we got the phone call. We got the confirmed phone call. And I don't know what it was, but we'd done Where's My Family Gone for Scott's. which I'm not too sure if that'll come out in the future, but sounds great. And we're going to use that for Soccer AM, but Soccer AM didn't want to have the Scots logo, and Scots didn't want to share it anyway. It was fucking back and forth. Yeah. So we thought that wasn't going to happen. And there was a lad called Harry Maitland who used to be the drummer in a band called Rats. If you know this feeling, you'll know Rats. And he said, "Well, listen, why don't you come back to the Rats studio, and we'll sit and record Where's My Family Gone?" And in the take that you see on Soccer AM was done. It was the first take of because I'm not fucking good now. No, it was the first take of the song, and he mixed it and recorded it and done the different camera angles and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then we just sent it to him, and then we found out, and then I made my own artwork for it, and then we put it on Facebook. And then the next day, I woke up 10 minutes before I was on, switched on, and that was it, mate. So I spoke to Fenners on Instagram and stuff. He asked if I enjoyed it, and I spoke to Mikey, and I get the feeling from what Mikey was saying that Soccer M have agreed that once things go back normal, then they'll get us back on with my band and stuff, and we'll be able to do it properly. Because I mean, listen, I've watched Soccer M all my life. Do you know what I mean? I was massive football and stuff when I was younger. I mean, I still love football now. Unfortunately, I can't play it. We're playing the guitar, but I was always playing on Sunday mornings, so I'd always wake up on a Saturday morning. It would be like sort of Soccer AM, then the early kick-off, then your 3 o'clock kick-off. That was just my Saturday religiously. And it sounds quite sad now, actually, seeing it back, but I always dreamt of taking one of them volleys. But I know deep down that the likelihood of me scoring the volley is fucking dreadful. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, being a goalkeeper, it's like you're just trying to just kick the ball away. Okay. So, and I could probably name about 40 people off the top of my head in Newcastle that would give me shit for the rest of my life if I didn't score that volley. But it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to doing if I ever get the opportunity.
I'm looking forward to that.
I'll have to score it. I'll have to score it, mate. I'll have to score it.
So I think we've had a good overview of. I think it's a couple of Noel questions, because I've been an Oasis fan since I was a kid, and that's a long time ago. So was it intimidating getting that phone call from Noel? Were you expecting it? Did your manager give you a heads up, that type of thing?
Well, we got the emails from him at first when and we signed the deal, and it was literally back and forward with emails. I never had any direct contact with Noel for a while, actually.
Yeah.
And the pandemic was starting to spring upon me. It was still pre-COVID days. It was getting bad, but you could still shake hands and stuff. I mean, even if you couldn't, I would never turn down an opportunity to shake Noel's hand.
Yeah.
I was practically giving him a love bite, and And when the news came that he was interested in producing one of the songs, we had to have a little talk on the phone. But he gave away time and stuff that we were meant to call him in a day. Do you know what I mean? It was very down to the book. So it wasn't like, I'd love to tell you that I was woke up at 6:30 by an unknown number.
Yeah.
And I answered it, and it was Noel Gallagher in a taxi saying, "Hello, is this Andrew Cushin?" Do you know what I mean? But it definitely wasn't like that. I actually had to drive to Hartlepool because it was where my manager was staying. So I had to drive all the way to fucking Hartlepool. Just to answer the phone and all, but it was I'd say it was probably the most intimidated I felt was as we were approaching the studio on the first day, because we were getting there before Noel and we're leaving after him, so we're there for a couple hours extra just to oversee the rough mixes and all that kind of stuff. And the most intimidated I felt was as we're approaching rock on the first day, because you don't know what to expect, don't you? Do you know what I mean? I was thinking about my head. Noel's done so much for me. And the band Placebo were in the next room, so they were working on some stuff, and I was like, I'm not a great fan of Placebo, but I knew that they were successful, and they're in the next room doing things. Just had a phone call saying that Noel Gallagher's on his way. I mean, fucking Jeremy Stacey's just met us at the door. And Paul Stacey, they're both there, and they're like sitting talking to us, and then Mike Rowe comes, and I'm meeting all these brilliant people, and they're like professionals at what they do, and I'm just stood, having got out of a fucking Astra with my little Divi guitar case. It wasn't even my guitar, because my guitar was still being made at the time, so it was like a guitar that I lent off someone, wearing a Stone Island jacket in the cold. And I'm thinking, I am so fucking out of place here. It is unbelievable. And then when we got the phone call saying, right, okay, Noel's on his way, I think that was definitely when my arse went.
Yeah.
But then he came in and he shook my hand and we sat and talked. And after 5 minutes, I thought, well, let's go make a good song now. So I think it was good to have that mindset. I don't particularly get nervous anymore. Just after prior stuff that's happened and stuff, I don't really feel nervous. I think there's worse things, and I've done worse things than get on a stage or then meet people. So after I meet someone for 5 minutes, the nerves go. After I sing a song, the nerves go. Do you know what I mean? So I'm quite a thick-skinned person. But in terms of feeling intimidated any time else, it was absolutely fine. He was an amazing bloke, and he was so down to earth, and he was one of them type of people. And I've reiterated this so many times in interviews. He was one of them people that just sort of puts you down to, like, sort of puts you straight down to ease. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a brilliant bloke. Brilliant bloke.
How did he change any of the song at all when he produced it, or what kind of influence did he have on the tune that you already had before you met him?
Oh, okay. I mean, the lyrics were never changed, the choruses were never changed, the chords were never changed. One thing we did do is we made it what he called radio friendly. I don't know if anybody sort of watches this. I mean, I hope that they do watch this. But when people watch this, there's a version of "Where's My Family Gone" that I performed for This Feeling TV, which was about the same time that I was on the Bang Bang Romeo tour, so I was far from a polished artist. And I sang it how it was written, and I've done that for This Feeling TV, so you can find that on YouTube somewhere. And that's how the song used to sound. It was a very dark and depressing. It was, I see it as quite a good lyrically written song.
Yeah.
But now it's a good tune. Do you know what I mean? It used to just be, in my eyes, it would make a brilliant poem. The words in that, there's a line in it about it's the only friend I ever see. He's built with strings and listening. He has, that goes back to me guitar being the only real normality that I had at that moment. Do you know what I mean? So I'd like to think that it's been well written, but in terms of being a good song, the melody and stuff wasn't really there. It was never upbeat. It was a song that I'd play in the middle of the set to make people cry, and that would be fucking it. Yeah. But now it's a good tune. Do you know what I mean? It's got a really good bass line, and I mean, that guitar solo is brilliant. There was never an instrumental break in there. That's one thing that Noel added, the little instrumental break just to fit the solo. And it used to cut off after the second chorus, but we came up with the idea of after the solo, go back into the chorus and finish on that. So, I mean, there was a couple of things that were added, but nothing was really changed.
Just sprinkled an old.
I mean, other than that's it, mate. That's it. I think we just put a little bit of that. I mean, I think it sounds so much like his first album. Do you know what I mean? I think it's unbelievable, and I'm so pleased with how that's turned out. So I think that's all we've done. I think we just took my lyrical song and we just added a bit of his magic, and then there came the tune that everybody hears now. But it was definitely fun to work on. Really, really fun to work on.
I can imagine. So what's coming up? What's coming up next for Andrew Cushin then? What's coming up over the foreseeable?
Well, we've got 2 socially distanced gigs in Gosforth, in a club that I play darts for again. We sold them out in an hour, but they've been postponed twice now. Yeah. Probably going to have to postpone them again. It's very dire in the northeast. Yeah. But they'll be good. It's like 2, because it's hard now because all tables anyway. Do you know what I mean? So we've had to sell like 30 tables per night, so it's like 250 people over the 2 nights. So that's quite good. We've got a headline at the Riverside in March next year. We're hoping that can go ahead. Tickets are 75% sold from what I heard, from what I hear, within a week. So that's brilliant. So there's a link to that on all my socials and stuff. We're playing at the Sage in December. We're supporting the Twang. Not too sure if that's going ahead. See, everything we've got planned. Not too sure if it's going ahead. One thing that is going ahead though is I'm doing my first gig outside of the UK, which I cannot wait for. I'm going to Gothenburg in Sweden on the 4th and 5th of December. I'm going there with a band called the Kids, so obviously you'll know from this feeling. So that'll be good. I mean, the Kids are brilliant. I spoke to Jamie, actually, the lead singer, the other day. And it was like, and I was like, what's the lockdown situation in Sweden like? And he was like, mate, it's cool, no masks or nothing. And I was like, me and you are going night clubbing till fucking 5 in the morning. So I think I'm just going to make up for the shit that we've had over there. And then next year, obviously, we've got all the festivals that we missed out on this year. So we've got the likes of Leeds and Reading Festival, Isle of Wight, Victoria's Festival. There's countless ones I can't really think off the top of my head. But it's
album
good
or
in terms
anything
of
like
making
that?
new music. Well, that's a bit of a way off at the minute. I think I'm definitely one of them artists that I prefer to build up a bit of a following before releasing anything that big. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise, I think it just goes too under the radar. I think Jamie Webster's done it brilliantly.
Yeah.
I think we've seen with Sam Fender and obviously Lewis Capaldi as well. I think it's those artists that have a following prior to releasing an album, and the album's like anticipated. Do you know what I mean? They're always the artists that are the most successful. I think we've seen it with Sam Fender. It was like he won that. It was like the best live acting, didn't he? It's got whatever award, and then sort of Hypersonic Missiles was brilliant. Play God was on FIFA, and people knew who he was prior to his album coming out, and then it done so well. Same with Lewis Capaldi. I think Jamie Webster done brilliantly as well from Liverpool. He had he's on like 100,000 Instagram followers now, and then he released his album and it done really well. I think it went number 5 or number 6. So I definitely like to go down that route rather than, because I think otherwise it takes you 4 or 5 albums to get to that level. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want to waste any material on trying to make myself. I want to make myself, then use the material. Do you know what I mean?
Sensible.
So we'll just have to see. But I think an EP is really realistic. I think maybe it's like a 3-4 track EP is very realistic next year. I don't think we'll release anything else out this year. We've got a website coming out, hoping that launches next Friday. We've got loads of really, really cool merch. We're working with the top merch team who's going to do all that. I think we're going to bring out like a little merch CD with the tracks that we've got out, plus a little bonus track, which I can't give too much away, but it sounds really good.
Enough. Well, I'm going to look forward to...
It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be brilliant.
I can't wait for it, mate. You've got your head screwed on. You've got the world at your feet. It must be exciting just to... as soon as this virus does one, I just wish you all the best for everything that you've got coming up, mate, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that.
Cheers,
Thank
mate.
you.
Anyway, nice one. Thank you. Cheers, bud.
Ta-ra, man.
Nice one.